You could say I'm just being crazy, and this is my own bias, but it's remarkable how many people get to see this. Even before I wrote my book, even before I wrote the Fiat Standard, which discusses this, even before that, a lot of people would joke about it, and it's a joke, but I think it's a lot more than a joke. It's very true that once people get into Bitcoin, you see those two processes that I mentioned getting reversed, and you see people going to fix their diet. On the one hand, you see it, you hear this story often. It's not just with diet, also with drugs and with alcohol. People will say, well, I used to drink a lot, but then I figured out that stacking sats is so much better than alcohol, and now instead of drinking, I buy Satoshis, and it's a much healthier drug addiction, and it's a rewarding drug addiction. It's a very common experience. It's very common to see people who get into Bitcoin and then start thinking about marriage and start a family and start having kids. These are very common, and it's not just a coincidence in my mind. It's something that I felt myself, and I see in many, many people who repeat the same thing. Once you have Bitcoin, because you now are able to save, because you're able to think of the future, suddenly all of your decisions become much more future-oriented. And so there's less temptation to get drunk. There's less temptation to spend money on drugs, less temptation to do stupid things that reward you today at the expense of the future, and more of an incentive to eat well, to start a family, to take care of your health, and so on. So we see this repeating. And of course, the other aspect of it is once people get into Bitcoin and they stop suffering from inflation, because Bitcoin really is the only way to fix the problem of inflation, you start being able to afford to eat the things that they tell you are bad for you, because they're not bad for you, they're just expensive. And Bitcoin fixes this. And I think this is not a coincidence, and I think it's going to amplify, that we're going to continue to see that as more and more people drop fiat and move toward Bitcoin, we're going to see these kind of behavioral changes in eating better, becoming more family-oriented, becoming more long-term. And I think it's a very deep rabbit hole, and I invite you to read my books and go explore what else fiat has ruined that Bitcoin fixes.
Great.